Welcome to lesson number 5 rather, and we're going to cover control structures real quick. It's going to be a very short episode because it's so easy. Golang is a pragmatic language. So yes, control structures, we have the for loops first, right? So we could do a classic for loop as we know that in every other language, right? We could do for, and then I do my tab. It's basically the only snippet I use. It's the for snippet because I think I wrote too much of these for loops in my life, right? So basically in this for loop, actually, to be honest, I'm going to write it out so you can see. In Golang, we do simply this. We can say for, and we can say y, which is the iterator. And because we need to infer, we're going to say colon equal is 0, right? So a y is going to be inferred as an int, right? Then we're going to do this semicolon. Then we're going to say I smaller than, for example, 10, or 10 is fine, and then we're going to do another colon, semicolon here, and then we're going to say y plus plus, right? And that's basically the classic for loop, and we could do an fmt println here, and we could say, actually, yeah, iterator, yeah, it is going to be, we don't need to have a space actually. Iterator is y, and what's going on with this format thingy? Nothing. Go run main.go actually. Boom. And you could see the iterator from 0 to 9. Very simple, very straightforward thing. And you could loop over slices, right? We already covered slices. We could say, for example, numbers. And that's going to be a slice of integers. And I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or something. That's fine. And then we're going to say, actually something I forgot to mention, which is basically how do we get the length of a slice A. And that's how I'm going to teach you right now. It's going to be len, the len keyword. And then we're going to wrap that up. It's a built-in function. And we're going to say len numbers, right? So it basically means len numbers is going to return the length of the slice you have, and in this case it's going to be 7. My bad. Is that true? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 7, right? Because it always basically tricks me, even though I have a lot of experience in programming, the length of the slice, and of course it starts with 0 indexing, right? So except if you do Lua, that indexing starts with 1. Hey, and what a world do we live, right? So basically we just loop over the numbers, and then we're going to print out that number, right? Actually, we could do something like, we're going to loop over the numbers, and then we could say fmt println, and we're going to do numbers, and we can index, we can fetch, we can index our slice. You should already know that, and if you don't, that's how you do that. If you want to retrieve a specific value from your array at a specific location, you can do that by this syntax, and then put in the y, which will basically, for each time we loop, it's going to increment y, so it's going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on and so on. Basic programming, yeah. So boom, and you can see we have our stuff, right? Cool. If you do y, you could see if you do this, right, it's going to work until a certain point, and you're going to have an index out of range. Just want to show you guys this. If you have no actually go run main.go, to be honest, go run main.go. You can see it's going to print out until 7, and then it's basically going to panic because we have an index out of range, right? Because we trying to reach this sixth index, but we have 7, and that doesn't matter, and that's why it's so confusing. But hey, let's do not kill our reward system. Let's do not delete our dopamine flows right now. We could also loop over numbers in another way, right? You could say something like this with the range, right? The range statement, we're going to say for, and we're going to do something like this. I'm going to show you the first thing. We're going to say for the iterator in range numbers, right? And actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to say names here real quick, because otherwise it's going to be confusing. Names, there's going to be a slice of string. We're going to say A, B, C, D. That's fine. That's already enough typing, and we're gonna range through the names. Names. Boom. I already covered how to range through maps in the things in the previous lessons, so we're not going to cover that with the key value thing actually. And maybe we should, to be honest, in this episode, why not, in this course, in this lesson. So we're going to do this, and we're going to print out, we're going to range through the names with the iterator, we're going to println this y, right? And you will see what's going on. I want to show you this. Boom. You could see it's 0, 1, 2, 3, which basically means it's going to iterate over the iterator, the index of the names, which is basically 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? If we want to also show the names, the actual values of these of this slice, we're gonna do for iterator name in range name, we can print out the name. Right, but now we have a problem because it's complaining I is declared, but we are not using I. Maybe we don't want to have this iterator, we just want to have the names. Well, in Golang, you can basically do this, boom, underscore, and it basically is omitting that value. And now we are only going to print out the names A, B, C, D, easy peasy, right? Then we have a break statement, basically. We could do something like this. If name equals A, you could do, or we return here, right? Or we break, right? What's the difference? Return will basically completely return the program, actually in this case, but because we are in a function main, right? And break will basically break the for loop, and then we're gonna print here. I'm gonna show you println broke. I don't know. How do you write the correct thing here? Broke out of the. Actually, I'm gonna say out of loop. Break out of loop is maybe better. What's going on here? Struggling with the big font size. We're gonna say break out of loop. Just like that, right? So what's gonna happen is we're gonna loop over the names, and if the name is A, we're gonna break, which basically means stop looping, right? I don't want to loop anymore. Break out of the loop. I'm done. I don't want to go to B, C, and D. It's A, break. And then we're going to execute this code here, right? So I'm going to do this real quick. Boom, break out of loop. Right, we could also return here. And if we return, we're basically going to return the complete main function, this complete scope here. And we are not going to trigger this break out of loop print statement. We are just, nothing is going to happen. Boom, you see, it's done. We returned, right? That are the two things, basically, the difference between break and return. Sometimes you can use return, sometimes you can use break. And along the program, you will see me using both, right? Because there is always a use case for both of these things. That's basically it. Maybe we could do real quick over a map. So we're going to say users, again, is going to be a map of strings mapped to integers, right? And this is how we declare an empty map, but we could also directly declare some variable here. So we're going to say foo is going to be 1. We're going to say bar is going to be 2 here, and then we're going to say bus is going to be 3, and I'm not sure what the third thing is going to be. Let's do Alice here. Alice is going to be 33, and then we're going to have one more. It's going to be Bob. And he is going to be, I don't know, 88 or something. Right, and if we want to loop over a map, we're going to say over key, yes, the key from the map, the value of the map in range users, right? And then we are going to print out, maybe a printf actually, right? Just like in the previous lesson. And we're going to say key s value D, right, for integer new line, because we're formatting key value, call it a day. Delete this for the space, and then we are going to go to main.go, boom, key bob, value 88, key foo, value 1. And the thing with the map is very important. You can see here we run the code, and we got bob first. Now we have foo first, because a map in Go is not sorted. Right, it's an unsorted structure, so it's always going to be random if you loop over it, right? Yes, we can also omit the key or omit the value here. Actually, if we only want the value, we could omit the key. That's perfectly fine. And if we only want the key, then we can just do the key, right? That's already been covered in the previous lesson, but I just want to show you that. That's basically control loops. We also have the switch, which already, maybe we should actually cover it once again. We did it in the previous episode a little bit. So we could do something like this. We're going to make a variable here. We're going to say name is going to be foo, right? And then we're going to switch on the name. Switch statement here, hop, hop. We're going to say case name is going to be Alice. We're going to say fmt println. Fine. The name is Alice, maybe. Right. We're going to say case Bob. What am I doing here? Boom. The name Bob. And then we're going to say default, right? That's basically when it's not Alice and it's not Bob, it's going to trigger the default value. If it could not find some match in the case statement, it's going to trigger the default. And we're going to say fmt println actually here. The name is default. And then we're going to say here name. Right. Cool. So let's print it out. Boom, you can see the name is default. Why? Because our name is foo and we only check Alice and Bob. Otherwise, it's going to be the default stuff. In this case, we're going to say Alice, hop, sake, boom, run it again, boom. The name is Alice and with Bob and so on and so on. So that's basically in Golang the control structures, for loop, the classic one, the for range loop, and the switch stuff. We also have some more control structures like a select, but that's more for concurrency. We are not going to cover it in this lesson. That's for mastering concurrency lesson in the next section of the program, the full-time GoDev program. I see you in the next lesson.